It is Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. My name is Carlos, and you're listening to Human School. Welcome to another episode of Human School, where I get to bring a human guest lecturer to teach us, once again, how to actually human well. Today's guest lecturer is going to be the one and only Scott Lorette. Scott, his story has made the big screen, as he got to share his story, his family story with his son, Austin, in the hit movie, The Unbreakable Boy. And I am so excited that you get to hear from Scott today. And we ask him some hard-hitting questions. He talks about what does it look like when he shares his story and people don't like his story? What does it look like when he shares his story and maybe it causes some issues inside of family that he didn't think it was going to cause as well? It is a raw, vulnerable, but very applicable conversation that I think you're going to leave inspired from. So, Human School fam, sit back and enjoy this very candid conversation with your brand new friend, Scott. Here we go. All right, Human School familia. I am with my new friend, Scott, who we have the same, actually, like if you didn't have glasses on and you were looking at both of us right now, we could be the same person. Like we've got kind of the same color glasses going on. We've got the same headphones going on. We're not in the same city right now, but Scott, go ahead and say hey to the fam.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be, I could have gone on the Canva and probably, we could have just been twinning her. Easy.
We could have. You just needed like a day and a half more of tanning bed, and you're there. Like you're.
I'm so not into tanning. I'm the guy that when we go to the beach, I'm under the umbrella.
You're under let's just start here for a second. This has nothing to do with anything I was going to talk about. Like, I'm not like a beach layout guy, and no. So I don't comprehend, like it doesn't compute that people would like go to the ocean on vacation and just lay in the sun and cook for hours every single day. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, no, I don't get it. But, I can think back to when I was growing up as a kid, though. My mother, she was in the era where she'd have the baby oil with the iodine in it.
Yeah. And
she'd just turn her skin into a reflector and just... they did that back in the 60s and whatnot. So.
Absolutely. No, they did. I mean, they would put Crisco on themselves. Like, absolutely amazing. Well, man, thanks so much for hopping on the Human School podcast. And, I think, at least for me, the first I ever heard of you and your story was through a movie, which just isn't probably a normal occurrence for most human beings. People are finding out about me through a movie. So before we even hop into a lot of the questions that I have for you, let's just go right to Jump Street current situation. What's it been like, as a dad to see your family's story portrayed on the big screen?
Well, there's a lot to unload there.
Yeah.
Because, we've got our younger son, Logan, who's an Omaha police officer.
Okay.
And he's much more reserved and
yes,
he's not an introvert, but it's affected him differently than it has Austin.
Wow.
And, I kind of opened this door up 15 years ago and, the tube's out of the toothpaste out of the tube. I mean, it's just good and bad.
Sure.
This hasn't all been a journey of sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
But it's been a blessing though, because I now am getting letters, emails, phone calls. People are finding me. I mean, you can find anybody now, but I've gotten stuff delivered to my house from folks that are their lives have been changed, which, you may or may not know who my business partner is, but Peter Facinelli from day one had said, your story is going to change the world. And I never really could wrap my brain around that. It took the longest time. And and on the flip side, for certain reasons, there are some people in the world that don't like our story.
Interesting.
Which you can probably dig on that one here in a little bit, but
sure.
But I ran across a story about you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd reached out to Monique and said, I got to get a hold of this cat because I think it might have been Movie Guide or something, had an article saying this story had an effect on my life or something like about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to meet him. So
That's so good.
no, overall, it's seeing the response much more so with the movie than my book.
Absolutely.
Has been just kind of overwhelming.
Now I haven't read the book. I've seen the movie, but I'm assuming that the movie is based on the book, correct?
It is. And, it's typical. If we'd have done the whole book, it'd have been a 10-hour movie.
Yeah.
And I think our writer-director, John Gunn, and John also wrote most of the episodes of House of David.
Okay.
And he's just a brilliant writer. And he spent the better part of 6 months in person, on the phone, FaceTime, email, text with all of us. And just to get it as accurate as possible. And it's pretty darn accurate.
Wow. Okay. So if it's pretty darn accurate, tell me this, because the story isn't just, it's called The Unbreakable Boy, right? So like you see the title and you hear the title and you automatically assume, oh, this is a story about the boy.
Right.
But it's really not just about your son, right? It's about what life did to you, what he taught you. So if someone only had 60 seconds to understand your family, what would you want them to know?
Well, first, you bring up a really good point, and it's fair. And I think that in retrospect, we maybe could have tweaked some of the marketing, because I think some folks think or may have thought over the years, hey, it's a story about this autistic kid.
Yeah.
And maybe I think we could have framed it a little better about how the Unbreakable Boy is more of a metaphor, more of a mindset, more of
so good,
something in all of us. But it is my life story, where there's addiction, there's parenting, there's marriage, there's special needs, autism, medical needs, and you got a guy that's just he was in a really bad place. He met a girl, they had a baby, and I always kid. The joke is I never even knew her last name. And people ask me, do you love her? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't even know if I like her.
Yeah.
So it's just that story. And it just so happens that there's this incredibly powerful, colorful, gregarious character named Austin that kind of drives the whole story, even though it is my story. It's a memoir.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. When someone meets Austin for the first time, what's the first thing they notice?
Well, he will speak first, and he will have already told you who you look like, and it's a celebrity. His salutation is who they look like as a celebrity, and within 10 or 15 minutes, he'll be your newest best friend, and he'll normally invite you over to, to watch movies and spend the night.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's never met a bad soul. He just wants to, even, I think that he's more attracted to those that are the neediest.
Wow.
So
I need to know what celebrity he would have pinned me for.
Dude, he comes up with ones you never think of, but he'd probably go with like Donald Glover.
Okay. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at that. Okay.
Something like that.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You do talk about, I've listened to a couple other interviews with you, and you talk with such honesty about failure. You just mentioned addiction, fear. What would you say would be, and I think this is going to be helpful for the listener, what would you say that was the moment in your life when you felt like you'd finally cracked? Like just the egg had cracked and everything's spilling out?
Well, it was November 26, 2006.
You got the date.
Yeah. At about midnight.
Okay.
It's in the movie. You saw it.
Yep.
It was that night. It's really the only part of my story that I talk about it all the time because people always ask about it. And it's the only real part that I'm seriously ashamed of.
Yeah.
It's just such a shameful part of my life, my behavior, who I was, where I was. And I thank God, though, because it could have been worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because I seriously, that night, that moment in the Jeep, we had a big old Jeep Commander, and I don't remember going home. And I don't know, and I just made the decision to go to a meeting the next day with a friend of mine. That's it. And it was just, that's it.
And how often does your mind, like it's May 19th, 2025, how often do you go back to that night?
Rarely.
Okay.
No, my life is, I love my life.
Yeah.
Where we are.
Yeah.
I think there are fewer challenges, but the challenges we have today are bigger.
Yes.
Like with Austin, over the years, it's just gone to fewer and fewer challenges, but the ones we have are just,
Oh, yeah.
bigger.
Give me an example. What's an example?
Well, like Austin, in the past, it may have been more medical.
Okay.
And just being new parents, things like that. But as he grew older, he became able to verbalize. He's a man now. But the things that we deal with today is that, like, and this is pathological. It's not something that's hilarious or funny, but he can't stop talking. He literally can't and won't stop talking. And out of the blue, he'll say, I know I'm overwhelming you, aren't I? And because his brain, he doesn't know how to stop. And that's one of the biggest challenges. And dating and independently living on his own. So those are big things. Those are
big things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really big things. Really big things. When I started selling things online, I had to figure everything out myself. Literally everything. I mean, I had to figure out how to build a website, and then how to add my bank account to a website that can take credit cards. It was so confusing. I need to let you know that Shopify now does everything for me. And for you, it can literally do every single thing that you need. Not only will it help you sell, but it'll help you get the word out. Like you have a marketing team behind you. It's so cool. They will help you design your website that you're going to sell on with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style. And best of all, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory, they can help you with that, to international shipping, they can help you with that as well. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into money with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Carlos. Go to shopify.com/Carlos, shopify.com/Carlos. Did you know that typical children's vitamins are basically candy in disguise, right? Filled with 2 teaspoons of sugar. That's crazy town. Now, while so many children's vitamins that I grew up with are filled with 5 grams of sugar, which again is known to contribute to all sorts of health issues, Haya, for kids, is made with 0 sugar and 0 additives, and it tastes amazing. I made a decision a few months ago and started sending my subscription to my brother. Now, my brother has a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. He said they absolutely love it. And he loves that it's actually formed. I mean, he asked me, he's like, what am I feeding my kids? What am I giving them in these vitamins? And I said, listen, this has been formulated with the help of pediatricians and nutritional experts. Haya is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, okay? 12. And again, it's got essential vitamins, 15 of them, and minerals, including vitamin D, B12, C, zinc, and folate, okay? I love that now my nephews are getting Haya into their body. So listen, we've worked out a special deal with Haya for their best-selling children's vitamin. I'm going to tell you about that in just a second, but I need to let you know that they also have Kids Daily Greens, okay? It's a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, and it's packed with 55 whole food ingredients. So if your kids are picky eaters, don't like their greens, you got to try this. Now, this is what I'm going to give you. 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/humanhope. This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to hiyahealth.com/humanhope and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. let's get into I think this is going to be really helpful because you mentioned that some people, which is just mind blowing to me. Like I watch the film or I hear the story and I think, gosh, man, what a beautiful story. But you mentioned that some people don't love the story, and normally when that happens, because this happens to me a lot. Okay, a lot. Whether I'm sharing when I shared my father's story, my father's dementia the last few years, and then as we kind of walked him in his final days, and it was really mind blowing to me that this is my story. This is I am these are the characters in my story. This is our story. But if it doesn't align with somebody else's, with the way someone else wants you to walk out that story, then the opinions start coming when you put it out in the public eye. Then suddenly, and so like I think I feel what you're about to tell me, but tell me a little bit about some of the maybe pushback you got to the story.
Yeah, and it all makes sense. And in the end, though, because I talk with Peter, I talk with Zach, they're both friends, and they tell me, number one, stop looking at that crap.
Yeah.
Number one. But it's twofold. For example, on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
It wasn't so much in the book, because the book wasn't as big as what the movie is.
Okay.
But everybody on Rotten Tomatoes is Scorsese. And all the Hollywood critics, it's a story about faith and family.
Uh-huh.
And they're giving me a 3 and a 4 out of 10.
Sure.
The audience scores are 98s. They're huge.
Yeah.
But the other one, which kind of shocked me, and I've got some friends that are in the autism world that are speakers, experts, things like that, and they experience it too, which just, it surprised me to the level, but there's this small subset within the autism world. If you don't represent autism the way they want it, it's not that they disagree. They're offensive.
Yes.
In their response. And even there's a couple of YouTube channels that I've had vile things said about my story.
Wow.
And me personally.
Yeah.
And initially that kind of took me aback.
Yeah.
Yeah. To see things posted about me.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. Well, they don't know who you are. And then they, it is kind of, it's this rage ecosystem that some people find themselves swimming in, and, that just becomes everything about who they are. Now, something that I've learned from that, again, because I've had, not to the level you have, I don't have a big movie that's come out or anything, but I definitely have people that are the same way in the dementia community, in the, as I am just telling the story. I don't know anyone else in my life with dementia. I just know my dad. Mm-hmm. Right. And so this is the only, I'm not going to dementia conferences. I'm not listening to dementia speakers. I don't know all the words. Let me just tell you what this is doing to my family. And what I had to come to terms with is that a lot of these people that were pushing back, whether it be in my DMs or publicly on YouTube videos or whatever, they're coming from their own real place of pain, that they have their own story, that they've got a pain point that maybe I've touched on that I just don't have the capacity to address. And you know what? I think, Scott, you've probably learned, because it sounds like you've done this, you just kind of have to let it go by you and continue to champion your own work.
Yeah, I think that you start, even within the same group or same environment, you've got people that are, I'm like, you know what? I'm not judging your situation. I respect and appreciate what you're going through, but you're judging me. And they're like, well, that's not autism or this or that. And I'm like, well, I actually wrote a book. Yeah. It's called a memoir. Right. That means it's my experience.
Yes.
You're like, well, we want to see a movie that's about an African-American female nonverbal. Yeah. And I'm like, well, go write a book.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but this is my story. And I think we did a wonderful job. But I just got to tune it out, though, because I think a lot of these folks, though, they get into their own groups and their own echo chambers.
Sure.
And they perpetuate. And I think the difference between critics and whatnot today is, in the past, they've maybe been more critiquey. And today, it's just another level, though. And so you can't invite. I've never responded. I think I've responded to one comment sometime along the lines, but they want you to.
I know. Oh no, it's feeding. It is feeding them. So you're right. No, I think that's so important. And here's the thing. I think every single person that shares their story of pain is it's going to be there's going to be somebody that is offended by your story. There's going to be somebody that pushes back against it. And we're all going to run across that, whether it be a movie, whether it be a book, whether it be something at work that you're sharing. This is going to happen to everybody. And I think that there's probably a lot of people listening that are holding a broken story that maybe they don't know how to share it. You did it. What gave you the courage, actually? Let's go back to the book, to start telling yours out loud.
Well, I think everybody has a story. Every single person's got a book in them. But for me, it was 15, 17 years ago or so, I started writing in little 3x5 spiral notebooks.
Okay.
That's it. It was bullet points. It was for me. It was purely selfish purposes. It was my own self-imposed therapy. And that became bigger notebooks. And then I had a blog for a while. I did not write a book about a blog. Again, it was all for me.
Yeah.
I got all my stories, all my thoughts out of my brain onto paper and then onto a blog. The blog was called Austentistic.
Okay.
And it's archived now. I can't even get into it. But I think there was a time where Austin broke a bone and he got his cast off and we got home and he broke another bone. And my oldest brother said, "You guys are crazy. Have you been writing down all the wacky things that happened to you?" And Carlos, it's true. It never ends. We've been married 30 years, which shouldn't have lasted.
Right.
But at that point, I just started to understand maybe there's something more here. And then it's a whole process. And that's why I'm actually going live. I'm coming out with a podcast, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Breaking news right here on the Human School podcast.
After we get back from Nashville next weekend, I'm real close to going live with it. But because one thing I realized is that everything I did to get an agent, get my theatrical rights back from HarperCollins, get a Beverly Hills entertainment attorney, write a book, get a publisher, get a movie studio. All these things I realized, you know what? I've got a mechanism and I've got a system that I went through trial and error for 15 years that I can share with people.
Wow.
And it's called the Green Pants Podcast.
That's pretty cool.
And I'd love to talk with you about that more later on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, we can just hit stop on the recording when we're done and you can keep talking to me about it. That sounds like a plan. That's amazing. The Green Pants Podcast.
Yep. The Green Pants are kind of like the jester hat.
Okay.
It's a symbol of the whole story. And
Yep.
Later on, I'll tell you how the origin story. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I love it. No, that's so good. Okay. Tell me this. One thing that I've read that you describe Austin's life, and honestly, like I see bits of this now that I'm talking to you, probably sprinkled from you into his life, but kind of as a joyful rebellion against everything that's gone wrong, right? So like that's a way that I don't know if I read that somewhere, but what do you think the rest of us, people that play it safe, can learn from that perspective of living life like Austin has?
Well, I think you're on the right track, but I think it's something that you and I both, at least I won't speak for you, of course, but
sure.
I wish I had more of that in me because he doesn't see anything but good in people. In fact, we've had situations where we've had to protect him because he's, maybe it's the friend that we know who they are, but they were into drugs or this or that.
Sure.
And he's like, everybody's redeemable.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't care about, he wears his jester hat at least a couple times a week.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. It's that he has the same hat at 25 years old, but he cares deeply, but he doesn't care about people thinking, oh, the way your dress looks funny, or that he's like, no, it makes him comfortable. And I wish I had more of that in me. He's so comfortable in his own skin.
Yeah. What is the gift of being Austin's dad? Like if you could sum up the gift I don't know, maybe in a sentence you can do 2, 3. I mean, I don't care. But one that maybe, you would like us to hear. What is it? What's the gift to you about being his dad?
Well, because Zach had asked me this once, and we talked about this in depth, but I think for Austin, it's his unconditional love, because I've had some people refer to our story as a love story.
Huh.
And I get that and that's my wife's favorite scripture is, it's Corinthians, I think. It's of all of these 3, love is the most important.
The one thing that remains is love.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so you've written the book, you've made the movie. Is there more in you? Like, are you like, okay, now I've done, do you want to do more?
Yes, in the story, again, I'll tell you this because it's part of that green pants story, but my partner, Peter, that was always like, this should be a television. This should be a dramedy, an episodic dramedy. And I want that, but I know what book 2 would be. I've actually written a screenplay, and it's, I learned how to do it. I got the software because you have to do it in a specific way. It's formatted and everything. And it was fascinating. I love learning those things. I did it. I wrote a screenplay, and I've got 3 parts of it that I need to fix.
Okay.
They're pretty big fixes, but it's a prequel. It's all a prequel.
Oh, really?
And it's more so a situation where I think the story of the story is more fascinating than the story.
Yep.
How it all came to be, how it is. And there's my obsession with Matt Damon and my stalking episode, and it's just how things happen up until meeting Peter, everything. People are blown away by these stories that I share because I do quite a bit of speaking, and because they want to know, how did you do this? And therefore, that's why I think the podcast has an audience. It's about dreaming, and dreams come true.
So I opened my fridge a few months ago, and I remember seeing like 4 little, I don't know, they look, like you go to like Whole Foods and there's like little smoothies and little glass bottles. I was like, oh, Heather brought some smoothies. So I drank one, tasted amazing. I was like, hey babe, what is this? And she's like, oh, this is what came in the mail. It's Dose. And Dose is actually good for your liver. It cleanses your liver. And I was like, excuse me? I had no idea that I was drinking like something that is specifically focused on my liver. That's right. Did you know that the liver is the 2nd largest organ in your body, and it's responsible for over 500 functions? But again, for some reason, liver health doesn't get the attention it deserves. And so Dose for your liver, which is what I was drinking and I didn't know it, was formulated to cleanse your liver of unwanted elements, aid in digestion, and maintain your body's filter. Your liver is the 2nd largest organ in your body, okay? It acts as your filter. It flushes out unwanted elements and breaks down everything else. The liver produces and regulates cholesterol, stores vitamins and minerals, and impacts digestive and metabolic health, among so many other things. Dose for your liver, that one shot of it is equivalent to 17 shots of turmeric juice. Dose is gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, and vegan. So listen, save 30% on your first month subscription by going to dosedaily.co/Carlos or entering Carlos at checkout. That's dosedaily.co/Carlos for 30% off your first month subscription. Today's episode is partnering with Function. What is Function? Function empowers you. You need to understand this. Empowers you and people all around you to live 100 healthy years. Now that seems like a big statement, but what actually is Function? Well, the reason why they can say that is they are beginning the process of helping people, starting with over 100 lab tests, okay? They test things about your heart, your thyroid, your autoimmunity. There's all sorts of things that just, in general, we don't understand. And Function gives you the data that you can actually begin to take back control of your health. Function is an all-in-one health platform that starts again with over 100 advanced lab tests. And again, it's going to give you the data that you need. The ownership of your health comes back to you. right? You get a baseline, and then you can see how you can move beyond it. And it matters, again, because lifespans are decreasing and chronic conditions are increasing and rising. So what I want you to do is literally realize that this can give you less stress in your life and give you motivation to change things in your life. It has me. Okay, an exclusive offer I'm sharing with my podcast audience is this. You get $100 credit if you sign up using my code. So head to my landing page at functionhealth.com/CarlosW, okay? And you're gonna sign up with your credit applied, or just use code CarlosW100, okay? That is for every single person listening to this. And when I say every single person, I need you to understand this. It's limited to the first 1,000 listeners or followers who use my code. That's functionhealth.com/CarlosW. I love it. No, it's which I think, again, human school listeners, there is the demographic of people that are listening. I get a lot of, gosh, I've been doing this for a long time. I feel like, I'm in my mid 40s. I want to dream. There's other things I want to do, but people just kind of get stuck and they,
Yes. I'm a lot older than most people think.
Okay.
I'll be 61 this year.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely are.
I'm telling you, it's taken me almost 60 years.
Huh.
I hate to use this because everybody talks about what your why is.
Yeah.
But man, I tell you what, I think in my 60th year of life, I finally found much more purpose in what I'm doing, where I was going. And because I've always been a dreamer and a daydreamer. I still daydream a lot. I mean, I have an imaginary friend, and some of the critics told me that I was, bipolar because of that.
Wow.
But you know what, though? That's one of my favorite characters of the movie. It's probably Joe. Anyway, it's taken me that long, though, to figure it out.
Huh. Well, I mean, let's just kind of keep going there for just a second. Like, okay, it's taking you that long to figure it out. And so someone's listening going, wow, like Scott figured this out at 60. Is there anything he can tell me to where I don't have to wait until I'm 60? I'm 37, I'm 42, like Scott, help me accelerate, put me in the freaking carpool lane to Dreamville.
Well, I think that's simple. And that's what I want to help people with, because I don't care if you're 18 or 88. I'm not done. And that's the thing, though. If we're sticking on the subject of dreams, I mean, it's not an endpoint destination.
Sure.
I haven't achieved. My dreams are done. I'm done. No, I'm in the process of attaining and living my dreams.
Yeah.
And they change, and they are evolving as we speak. It's just that I have a little better grasp on what the roadmap is, and I'm making it. The roadmap.
Okay. So what I hear is like, just don't ever stop dreaming. I guess that's the end all for so many people, is they just kind of give up, instead of letting their dreams continue on.
Well, I created my own mantra, and faith is an underlying element of my existence, my story. But there was a mantra that I kind of created years ago, and I stuck with it. And to this day, it's, I knew I'd never fail as long as I didn't quit.
There it is. Gosh. That's so good.
Nothing wrong with pausing, but I just, I learned something 30 years ago at a Dale Carnegie course, and it's on how to handle obstacles and hurdles and things like that. It's about accepting the worst case scenario. And then anyway, it really works. And I use that to help me realize, no, I'm not done. Because I had a situation where I was with an independent film company. I raised a tremendous amount of money. And that,
wow.
It was a very, very, very costly lesson. And I guess it had to happen. I don't know. But it didn't deter me. I didn't quit, though, because of that. I could have.
Yeah.
So
you're kind of answering my last question before we get here, but I'm gonna ask you it anyway, right? Because maybe it'll pull somewhere else. But it literally, I feel like it's tied to what you've been talking about. If somebody that's listening right now kind of feels like a mess. Maybe it's a parent who's failing or a spouse who's tired. What do you want them to know about what's still possible in front of them?
Well, I don't think you need to take 30 years of, to figure it out like I did. Because, my wife, Teresa, and I were a train wreck for so many years. And I think today, though, the strength of our relationship and our marriage is because of all that turmoil and whatnot. But I think that just like folks who want us to write a book,
yeah,
it's so easy, because I get questioned all the time. How do I do that? I'm like, just begin.
Yeah, just start.
Just start. If you're 21 or 27 listening to this, it's true too. The same thing applies. If you want to go after and be the best, it doesn't matter. It really, I don't think there's anything wrong with cliches, but if you want to be the best janitor, the best whatever, and people will laugh and people will put you down and people won't believe you, even some of those folks that are closest to you. But you got to do you. No one's going to advocate for you, just like in special needs. You're your own best advocate. So if you want to be the best whatever, just begin. And for me, what worked was educating myself on all of the technical, all of the background. I had to learn about how to you couldn't go to a publisher. You had to be represented.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to write a quit claim, which is a legal document to get theatrical rights back from a publisher.
Yeah.
And
what do you ask ChatGPT that? Like that? How in the world do you figure that out?
Yeah, I had an attorney friend tell me what I needed to do. And I created this legal document. In 1 hour, I had my theatrical rights back.
Wow.
HarperCollins has nothing to do with the film.
Wow. So cool.
But my point is just begin and learn as much as you can about that space that you love.
I love it. No, that's so good. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Scott, this is so helpful. If people wanted to watch the movie now, like people or read the book, where is it? Where can they find it?
Well, the book's pretty much any store online, but Amazon, Target, Barnes and Noble. But right now it's out of the theaters now in pretty much all theaters, but it's at home entertainment, so they can rent, they can buy. DVD came out a month ago. Streaming will be first on Apple and Amazon, but it's on a bunch of different platforms. Yeah.
Right on. And of course, they can watch this podcast on YouTube and then hopefully subscribe to your new Green Pants podcast as soon as that comes out for the rest of the world to hear.
Yeah. And and just so you know, though, too, and Monique will be there, but we're going to Nashville on Friday for the K-Love Fan Awards. K-Love, they nominated us as Film of the Year.
Amazing.
So let's go at the Grand Ole Opry, and
you're in my town.
It's pretty exciting. Are you in Nashville?
I'm in Nashville, bro.
Well, okay. All right. Yeah. We'll be there for 3 nights, actually.
Well, maybe we'll have to find a moment to have some face-to-face, bald-headed, brown glasses coffee.
We will. Yeah. And you'll let Austin tell you who you really look like.
Yes. No, that may be it. This sounds like something I need to make happen.
All right.
Dude, thanks for hanging out with us, Scott.
Oh, had a blast. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. How good was that? Hey, all you dreamers out there, don't stop believing. Don't stop dreaming. I'm freaking inspired. I don't know. Do you want to go make a movie now? Scott, thank you so much for coming on the Human School podcast and for teaching us how to human just a little bit better. Hey, listen, something that's super helpful is if you follow the show, subscribe to the show, do all the things. Follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, all the places. It is so helpful for me to get the word out. And listen, I'm coming back next week with another episode for you of Human School. See you then.